Okay, welcome back. We're on page 28 where we're talking about developers, the people who actually write the applications that you interact with. Okay, on page 29, they talk about the communications and networking capability. And they talk about all sorts of things and just some brief categories. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but, you know, chat rooms and emails and instant messaging and news groups and news readers and video conferencing and voicemail, all sorts of strange things like that. There are some other types of communication. You guys have probably seen these goofy TV commercials about Magic Jack and things of that nature, where you can Vonage, where you can buy this little magic device and plug it into your internet connection, and you get essentially low-cost phone service. And so it's called voice over IP, or VoIP. It's a technique where you basically turn your phone system into an internet system. I will tell you though that a lot of people jump into that because it saves them money, and then they don't realize that when their internet service is down, whatever, if you have a cable provider or a satellite provider or whatever it is, when that goes down, they got no phone. So for example, if the power goes out and you want to call the power company on the phone and say, hey, my power went out, you won't be able to do that because your power is out. Okay, cool. All right, that's just another example of a type of communication that goes over the internet. Okay, continuing on page 29, talk about a communications device. Well, that's a pretty simple definition. A hardware capable of transferring items from computer and devices for transmission, over the internet. Okay, that's kind of cool. And they talk about, on the next page, talk about three major categories, or not major categories, but major examples. They talk about Wi-Fi. Okay, Wi-Fi is something that you see. You go into a Starbucks somewhere and you have free Wi-Fi, so you can hook up your iPhone to their network and download stuff. Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a very short range kind of thing, typically designed for something like a phone. So if I had a hands-free set for my phone, I could hook something over to the corner of my ear and talk. And so the distance between here and the phone is not that great. I have a Bluetooth-enabled watch, and if I have my phone with me, the range is great. If I leave the phone on the dresser and I walk out in the backyard, my phone says, hey, you lost connection. So it's a very short distance here. Okay, and then cellular radio, which of course is what everyone uses on their cell phones. Cool. So three major examples of communication networks that you probably deal with. Okay, so I use the word network. So the network is a collection of computers and devices connected together via communication devices and transmission media. To add on to that definition, that all share common protocols. Because if I'm speaking English and you're speaking French, we are not communicating. We both have to have the same language, so to speak, in order for a communications network to work. Okay. They talk about the kinds of things you would expect to see, like in a home network. Typically in a home network, there's one connection to the internet, and everyone shares the connection if there's multiple computers. So you have a single connection to a high-speed internet. You access photos and stuff among your computers if you have more than one computer. And then in a business environment, all the computers can talk to the internet directly, and it's for business purposes, and you're not really passing photos and things like that around. You're sharing data and information, but you're not playing multimedia games, at least I hope you're not. Things of that nature. So home networks are designed slightly different. Home networks are designed so that typically the download speed is greater than the upload speed. It's called an asymmetric connection, where it's perfectly okay when I'm doing browsing on the internet. I'm sending a mouse click to the other end, and I get thump, I get this huge page back. So it makes perfect good sense in a home environment. That would not work in a business environment. I need, essentially, I need symmetrical. I need the same speed up and down at the same time in order for me to have email going out and email coming in, things of that nature. Okay. So on page 33, they talk about the uses of technology, and this is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go through this because some of it is just kind of dumb. So they talk about education. Yeah, that's what we're doing now. Hey, we're doing an online course. Yay! Government, and sure, they're talking about the military and things of that nature. Finance, yes, big time use of technology. We're not talking necessarily about ATM machines. We're talking about stock markets and bank trades and all that kind of stuff. Retail, of course, retail is where it all kind of sort of started. There was a point in time when the internet was designed solely for research, and then they flipped the switch, so to speak, and allowed commercial commercial enterprises to come on, and boom, that's when things went nuts. And so I spend a ton of money on the internet. I'm sure you guys probably do too. Entertainment is another place that absolutely exploded. It's almost to the point now that a lot of people don't have television packages. They pull everything down off the internet. There's no need to I can stream practically any show that I want or any movie that I want off the internet. Healthcare, lots of examples of how medical records get transferred back and forth, things of that nature. Travel, of course. In fact, if you were a travel agent, 10 years ago, and you didn't see the handwriting on the wall, your industry is essentially gone because everyone does it on the internet now. Science, of course, there's tons and tons of people sharing lots and lots of data, doing fancy things. Publishing. Yes, it used to be that you published things in a book and you had to go to a press and they printed your stuff. Now anyone can do a book and can sell it online. I don't need to ever talk to anyone in a printing organization. And of course, manufacturing. So all sorts of cool ways that you can, use the internet and all this technology for robots and things of that nature. On page 39, they talk about the typical technology users. So, they talk about the home user. What kind of a thing they would do. Home and small office is another type of user. And you'll notice, for example, when you go to buy a product, printer, for example, they'll have home printers and small office printers, and that's what they're telling you is if you want a fax machine and you want a copier and you want all this stuff, that's the small office, home office kind of use. So if you know where you are in this category, then you know what kind of scanner to buy, or what kind of printer to buy, what type of computer to buy. So this category of technology users is actually pretty cool. The mobile user, of course, the mobile user is going to be using a tiny little device, and what can be sent to them and how they can process it, and they're not going to be printing, for example, most likely. Power users is a term that used, and these are the people who make a living sitting at their computer doing something kind of cool. And I'm not talking about making Excel spreadsheets or Word documents. I'm talking about designing a bridge or doing some fancy math. These are technology workers, and so they typically need high-end graphic workstations, not just a normal machine. So once again, if I was going to go to the store and I wanted to buy a graphics card, a home use graphics card would be designed for playing games more than likely, and then there's this other category for doing technical kinds of things, and then you have the enterprise user, and that's where anything goes. You're in a big corporate office or perhaps a government organization, and you've got all these line of business type applications that you're doing, and so specialized software and perhaps specialized hardware like security devices and card readers and things of that nature. On page 40, they talk about the digital home, which is kind of a cool thing. You can connect your computer through the internet to these devices that'll turn on lights and do security and do your thermostat settings and all these kind of cool things. And there's lots of packages out there if you're into that. Okay, so that basically is the end. So on page 41, they basically have a chapter summary. Let's just go through it. So basic computer concepts, yeah, I think we got that covered. Various methods for input, output, memory, and storage. Yeah, I think we covered that. The internet. Yep. Digital security and safety risks and precautions. I mentioned some of that, but you can do a little bit more reading. The uses of technology and applications in society. All right. So now that we're done with the video lecture, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily complete. I would suggest that you go on to page 42 and 43 and go through that little study guide and those terms. If you can do that, then you've probably learned all there is to know in this chapter, and you're ready to move on. If not, go back to the text or perhaps watch the video one more time until you master that study guide and those terms at the back of the book. Okay, so how's that for Chapter 1? Cool? See you guys again for the next chapter.